Angels with Dirty Faces. Hello, this is Indigenous Monstrosity, and I am the monstrositous one. Monstrositous. And this is an old, classic gangster movie, Angels with Dirty Faces, with James Cagney, Pat O'Brien, and an appearance by Humphrey Bogart. And it had the Darren kids. But what we grew up, we knew them as the Bowery Boys. They had a TV show, and every last one of them was in there. Slump, Satch, and a couple of the other boys. But there was these, it was like the grown-up version of the Little Rascals. A bunch of basic vagrant kids or street kids who was always getting at the dirt, slapstick, beating up on each other. And in their show, it was a little bit more funny. But in this movie, this was a serious drama, and they were tough street kids who was stealing, pickpocketing, and getting into all kinds of dirt. And how it starts out is Pat O'Brien and James Cagney was little youngins running in the streets and doing dirt. And basically, they was running away from a crime scene, and the cops was on to them, and they was trying to hop a fence and was it hop a fence or boogie it around? And either way, the saying is that James Cagney was just a little too slow, so he gets caught by the cops. He goes to prison and winds up becoming this gangster. And Pat O'Brien, he gets away and straightens his life out and becomes a priest, and he's really out there helping these street kids and trying to keep them from going the life of the gangster and doing dirt. But these kids ain't trying to hear Father, I forget his name. Wow, I haven't watched the movie. I just watched it so many times. I haven't watched it lately, I should say. But I know the whole thing. But I don't remember Pat O'Brien and James Cagney's names in the movie. So that's messed up. And Humphrey Bogart too. Being that they all have big names. That was like an all-star movie back in the days with the Bowery Boys, Pat O'Brien, James Cagney, and Humphrey Bogart. Come on. But yeah, Angels with Dirty Faces was a slower pace. It didn't have the action of a White Heat, but it was building the whole dynamic of how this tough kid came out of prison and was getting right back into his old tough ways, and he was around these kids, and he's basically teaching them the street. He's teaching them how to be tough and not how to get caught and how not to play themselves with trying to play scams and not to play people who are better at scamming than they are because they try to get him, and he out scams them because he knew the neighborhood. He knew all of the hiding spots and everything. So they was basically hiding in his own hideout. So he was able to get his money back, slap these kids up a little bit, and teach them the skinny. And so they started following him around, and they started hearing. They knew about him. He's like a famous tough guy, a famous thug. So they loving him, and he's teaching them how to fight. And Pat O'Brien, I think he keeps going to James Cagney and trying to get to kids to stay on the straight and narrow because James Cagney's influence is leading them wrong. But at the same time, I think he came out of prison and he got into something with, see, I gotta watch the movie now. See, I messed up because I should know this before I start talking all of this about the intricacies of the story, because I know he had something with Humphrey Bogart that didn't work out too good, and they wind up having a big shootout. I think Humphrey Bogart was trying to kill James Cagney, or at least was trying to rob him or not pay him for a job that he pulled or something. But it didn't work out right. And well, it's good because maybe if you guys don't hear every little detail, y'all guys will go watch it and see that these old stories, though they didn't have the diversity of more up to date, the stories were good. The quality of the character building was good, and like I said, this was one of those classic old, even to this day, the end of this movie has me crying. I always, and I almost to the point of bawling. I'm serious, man. I don't bawl. Sometimes, most of the times when I get a good quality movie that brings tears to my eyes, I just shed some tears. But this movie actually wants me, bring me to the point of, you know, breaking my whole stereo down and bringing my nose to the surface and putting my street boy back in the closet, grabbing out to mama's apron strings and crap, you know. So yeah, there was no moist boys in this. There was no moist boys back then. You see, all of these characters, if you look at these characters, none of them were pretty boys. Not one of them. Not Humphrey Bogart, not James Cagney, and not Pat O'Brien. None of them was pretty boys. Back then, they didn't put pretty boys in their movies like that. They had well, Dean Martin, I guess, could have been considered that, but and Frank Sinatra. Yeah, I got to get some old Frank Sinatra movie. He did have Van Ryan's Express. He played in a couple of good movies, old Blue Eyes. But yeah, y'all guys are always trying to remake stuff, because y'all can't tell good stories. So if y'all would take y'all butts back to some classic storytelling, back to when women had great, there was a lot of great women roles back in the day too. So all of y'all talking about the patriarchy and how outdated people were. Maureen O'Hara, Betty Davis, come up and see me sometime. What's her name? All of these famous women had their own. The McGuire sisters, so singing groups, women singing groups had their own movies. There was always women. I love Lucy. There was always women who had their own movies and their own headlines. So a whole lot more women than today. So y'all talk about women and women power. Back then, women wasn't trying to be men. They wasn't. They had their own identities and they showed it. They had their own power and they wielded it. And y'all women today, all y'all care about is how manly y'all could be. How much of a man you could be. Y'all want to take over man projects and then fail at doing it. Instead of being the best women y'all could be, go and look at these old movies. Find out your culture and your history. See that there were great stories back there being told. Even if these guys were racist. I just got finished buying Big Jake and Rio Bravo, John Wayne movies. John Wayne is a big time racist. Talk about how black people shouldn't be in control of anything until they can get in control of themselves, like we was animals or something. But that's going to stop me from watching a great movie with great topics and great characters in it. There's a man in Big Jake that walked around chopping people up with a machete. I'm going to pass up that experience because of one racist person that happened to be in some good movies like The Searchers and Rio Bravo, Big Jake. No, I'm not going to give up the opportunity just because of a idiotic person's bad ideas. our bad ideals. Look at the Ten Commandments. Charleston Heston in Bowling for Columbine. He shows how big of a racist he is by saying if it wasn't for certain people, there wouldn't be so many gun crimes in the, and then he quickly shuts his mouth. But everybody was knowing what he was talking about. Mr. Moore knew what he was talking about, and he started chasing him down and trying to get him to expound on his answer, and he ran off. So I understood. These is years after I had already fallen in love with Ten Commandments. We used to watch it every year, Christmas and Easter time, because these were the Christmas and Easter time specials. And they're highly religious, but I don't look at them for the religion. I look at them because they were great stories. I do. It just happened to have the religious overtones, and which helped, because how many superheroes are based on gods and the culture behind a god? Galactus and his whole culture is based on goddom. So understanding religion and all kinds, I building my characters, and for my stories, I hated school and history. I love science, math back in the day, but by the time I graduated with 65 because I started getting into girls and I was working after school. But I hated learning. But afterwards, in the 90s, when I started in the 80s and 90s, the mid-80s to the 90s, I started to want to learn everything I could so that I can make my stories more complete. So I started researching History Channel, all of these things about how civilizations operate and the different types of things they would war over, or how their merchants, what things they sold, so that in my stories I would have different things that I can make to help make economy, or something that maybe I could then later use as something to be at war over, or something different. I wanted to learn as much from the ground floor up, so that when I build my stories, that they feel authentic and they feel real and grounded. And so I looked into, I for creating my characters, I followed these science shows like the universe, and these days how the universe works. I watch those things religiously so that I can gain aspects on character abilities and names and all types of things like that there. So and power sources, so that all of my characters aren't based on one power thing. Oh, somebody tripped over and bumped his head and now he's got abilities. No. That's not how I make my stuff. So, Angels with Dirty Faces. Please, James Cagney is the man in this. He's again, the thing about the story that makes me in love with it, because the friendship between him and James Cagney and Pat O'Brien, though he was on opposite sides of the fence on life, when it came to their friendship, they would do anything for each other. And the reason why it affected me so much in the end is because James Cagney is this thug, and he does something for Pat O'Brien that just changes everything, and it just brought tears to my eyes. I just loved it, and I still love it to this day. Matter of fact, I'm bringing emotions up right now just talking about it. I think I'm going to watch this tonight, because this is a really good story, and I really think y'all deserve to be part of it. Don't give up your history, baby. Own your properties, own your hard copies. Don't just stream. Use that as when you're on vacation. But when you want to wield your power, from when you can't, they can't force you to do nothing. They won't be able to take off. I understand that Disney is going to be taking their movies down and their classic stuff. They're not going to stay up there. So you paying all of that money, you paying month after month after month after month, and they're not going to have everything on there. Or when it gets filled, like Netflix, they're gonna they'll remove things and then put stuff up. Remove things and put stuff up to make room for other things. And when you doing that, you're bending the knee to them. Why bend the knee? I don't need no online access, and I don't need a subscription. All I have to do is grab my DVD, go to my bookcase, grab my DVD or my Blu-ray, push it into my Blu-ray player or one of my game systems, and I'm watching my movie just like that. And I can marathon because I got every episode, never once like on demand. On demand, you be missing episodes and missing this, or I don't know if that happens while streaming where certain episodes won't play, but I don't have that problem. I watch it, and then if it's not playing, I'll spend the money, because Amazon used to be able to get good DVDs for $5 and $6 and $7. Now everything is $20, $26, $28. Why is that if they're not trying to price you out of owning? Own your properties. Own your hard copies. Do not just stream. Only stream part-time when you don't have... If you want to watch the garbage that you don't want to spend money on to own, then stream. If you want to watch stuff that you don't get the chance to watch, or you want to watch on vacation or have something mobile, yeah, stream. But not for your personal home collection. Just like your floppies, and you guys love to collect your floppies, y'all hate digital, don't go streaming. Streaming is the enemy. They're trying to take your freedom from you. That's why there's no Blu-ray recorders. That's why there's no more DVD recorders. And I bet you a lot of these Blu-rays and these DVDs are programmed to blank out after a certain amount of years. If they wasn't like that 10 years ago, they're probably making them like that now. So please, listen to me. I'm only talking stuff that's 2 and 2 makes 4. It's common sense. Don't listen to this easy thing. That's what's wrong with mankind, and that's why people are getting so soft and moist, because everybody wants everything easy. And everything easy, even bullies can build character in you. Yeah, that's right, I said it. So, and I'm the person to talk, because I've had bullies, and I'm not no person to sit down and let a bully pick on me and bully me. So, get out there, like I said, watch Angels with Dirty Faces. This is an X-rated video, and I'm going to be putting X-rated on all of my video thumbnails from now on. I'm out. So do what you YouTube do, and share, like, subscribe, and do all of that stuff that I like to like so much, and you guys love to love so much. And I'm out.